Morning guys, Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School out here on the trap line, and I wanted to have a quick discussion. Got a big fat raccoon over here we're going to have to take care of in a second. Front paw catch and a number 450 MB. Same trap incidentally that we caught the possum in yesterday. So this trap's hit 2 days in a row, and last night we had a severe thunderstorm. Took out a lot of trees, a lot of power and things like that. Animals must have still been moving because we've got a big fat raccoon in this trap. Now this raccoon looks like he's blind in one eye. May have even been born that way. He's just got a white cap over one eye. What I want to talk about real fast with you guys is I received an email yesterday from a young man, and his question was about trapping. And his question was, he's been setting traps, and at least 3 of his traps, or maybe the same trap 3 times, I couldn't quite discern it from the email, had been tripped and nothing was in the trap. And his solution to that was, I think I need to go to a bigger trap. Well, what that tells me is that A, we don't really understand why that trap is being tripped. Could it be problems with a deer walking into the set and just pulling out and walking away? Could it be something else? And what that tells me is that that young man hasn't had proper trapper's education. And I think that that is a very underrated statement in this day and age, that everyone should have some type of trapping education before they go out and just set traps. There's lots of things that you need to understand. There's local and state regulations and laws that you need to understand. There's proper ways of doing things to target certain animals. There's also ways of doing things to take care of non-target species if you're going to release them or dispatch them. There are also things that you need to understand about the size of trap you use depending on the target animal that you're after. And all of those things come with, as well as making proper sets and doing things safely, with trapper's education or some type of a trapping course. We have a Hudson Bay trapping class next week at the Pathfinder School, and that is a basic trapping course that teaches everything from prepping your traps, bedding your traps, to actually setting those traps and catching animals, and then processing the fur. It's a week-long class, and it's set up to be a very basic introductory class, but we're going to go through everything from the beginning to the end with animals, so that when you leave in a week, you understand what problems may occur on the trap line, how to understand what happened, why your trap's been tripped, why your trap's been dug up, why your trap has got a footprint beside it and no animal in it. Things like that are things that you learn from experience, that you can learn from experienced trappers, but you can also learn a lot of other things in trapper's education to help you be a better public representative of trapping. And I think that is a very important aspect of trapping, is that everyone who traps should be a good public representative of trapping. You should be able to explain why trapping is necessary. You should be able to explain that foothold type traps that are designed today that have offset jaws and heavy cast jaws and things like that are designed with the animal's comfort in mind, even though you're trapping that animal. Now obviously that animal's going to be under stress. Obviously he's probably going to be in a little bit of pain. If I had something pinched around my bone, I'd be in pain too. But it minimizes that pain in that it's not going to cut the skin, it's not going to break the bone, and all of those things are things that need to be understood by the general public when they're voting on trapping regulation and trapping legislation. So, to coyotes real fast, I have a lot of people that want to know why I'm trapping coyotes. I'm trapping coyotes in the state of Ohio around farmland because there are no natural predators to the coyote in the state of Ohio. Again, there are no natural predators. That means the population can do whatever it wants. It can go crazy because there's nothing killing off the pups. They have no natural predators. If that population is not kept under control, then they get into rural areas and farm areas and take care of and eat the chickens, they kill the calves, they hurt the deer population, they hurt the turkey population. All of those things need to be considered when you're talking about why you trap, and explain to people when you talk about why you trap. Okay, enough of my rant and my soapbox. Let's get over here and take care of this coon, check the rest of the trap line. Stay with me, guys. Okay, so we got a raccoon in this trap over here, and we're going to use a catch pole to release this raccoon. And basically it's just a piece of PVC with a cable through it, a clothesline tensioner on this side that's been riveted in, and then a pull cord from any kind of a lawnmower or anything like that is connected to that cable. Pulls the noose tight. This is a locking mechanism that doesn't let it come loose unless you pull it out. And this is a very good thing to use on something like a raccoon. You can see, especially when they get mad like that. So you just put it around his neck like this, and then you can hold him away from you so that you can get his foot out of the trap. trap was frozen up really bad because it had a whole lot of mud in it where he's been rolling around in this mud. Now I can let him go right now. You can see he's plenty lively. All I got to do is loosen the tension on this and throw him over in the woods, and he'll be gone. Okay? If I loosen the tension on this, he's trying to bite the pole right now. All right, get out of here, you. There he goes. He took off into the woods. He's good to go. All right, no worse for wear. Okay, so once you get your trap cleaned out, you've got to get all the mud and gunk out of that trap or it's not going to work for you the next time. So you got to get all that stuff pushed out of there so your jaws will operate correctly again. Get your trigger cleaned off really good. Get your pan underneath your pan, get that cleaned out real good, make sure there's nothing under there. And get all that mud off of it. Now what I've done is I've just taken and I've cleaned that out and put peat moss on the ground right here because this is solid mud right now because of the weather. So I'm going to bed this trap in peat moss. Just like this. Okay. I'm pretty much center of that hole, back about 4 or 5 inches. Now I'll get a pan cover to cover over the top of that pan with before I fill that in. Made out of latex. I'm going to keep them in a bag with a couple other little things here. And I usually lift this bottom jaw up, the weak jaw, drop that pan cover right over top, just like that, and tuck it down, just like this. Now I'll take some more peat moss on my sifter. And go over top of that. And bed that trap in pretty good. Just like this. If I got some chaff, I might spread it around the edge. I got some stuff around here that from the last set. I may put it right here along the edge. Just like this. On the edge of the hole. Like I said, don't overthink this stuff, guys. I think that's the big mistake a lot of people make is they overthink these sets. It doesn't have to be perfect. If you don't have any dry dirt to work with, you can use all peat moss. Not going to hurt anything if you do that. I do it all the time. Okay. Now I've just got to rebait and I'm ready to go. Now, a lot of guys have been asking me what I use for bait in these holes, and really what I've been using mainly this season is nothing more than a wad of sheep's wool sprayed down with some coyote urine. So I'll take my sheep's wool and stick it in a hole, squirt it real good with some coyote urine, just like this, and saturate it a little bit right in front of the hole. Take my earth anchor tool and shove it all the way down the bottom of the hole, just like that. And I'm ready to go. All right, well, got a little baby possum in this one. It looks like he's caught by the back leg. Yep, he's caught by both back legs, actually. So we're gonna have to, how he got caught by both back legs, I'll never know, but he is. Hung by both back legs. Okay. You can see he's still operating them legs just fine. Still moving them around. And he's ready to go. Sitting there smiling like a, grinning like a mule eating briars there, see? There he is. All right, so we'll just let him go. and he's ready to go on about his business. Get on up there in the woods, mister. Run away. Get us a reset done, move on. Guys, I appreciate you joining me out here on the trap line today for just another quick discussion and a look at where we're at. I think we're at about day 12. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. And so far we've caught 2 coyotes, 2 bobcats, 3 raccoons now, and 2 possums. So we're up to 9 animals in 12 days with only 6 traps. And we haven't moved those traps. They've been in the same locations for those 12 days. Obviously, you're going to trap an area out sooner or later, or your numbers are going to diminish depending on the traffic. So you're going to have to move those traps around to continually catch animals in those traps. But 6 traps is not that much weight to have to carry in a longer term scenario, especially if you have some type of conveyance. You're going to do better, obviously, with a dozen traps. Now, someone asked me how many animals I caught last year. Last year, my experiment was 12 traps total for about a month, a little over a month, about a month and a half, I think. And I caught 47 animals. I can't give you the exact breakdown on that, but I do remember the number because I logged it last year. It was 47 animals in that about a month and a half time period. So I averaged 1 a day or better. And right now I'm averaging a little under 1 a day, but again, I've got half as many traps. So think about those things when you're talking about sustainability over time. Now, as far as trapping fur for money, I've been asked about that as well, and how much money I made last year. I don't trap for money. I just don't, not anymore. I used to when I was younger, just to get, extra bubblegum money and stuff like that when I was younger, but there's no sense in trapping for money for me right now because I have a decent job. I make a good living off of YouTube. I make a good living off my store. There's no need for me to go out and trap animals to try to make a living. My intent for trapping animals is, number one, to practice. That's why I use very few traps. I'm not running a long line of like 100 traps. I'm running 6 to 12 traps most of the time that are easy to get to, easy to get back from. I don't have to spend a lot of time skinning and things like that. I let a lot of animals go, but I'm doing it for educational value for the people on YouTube, for myself, as well as to show the world, because there's so many people against trapping nowadays, that trapping can be done effectively and efficiently, and you can still let animals go and they're going to be fine if you're using the right techniques and the right traps. But this is all education for me more than anything else. I do keep some fur and I use that for trade. And somebody asked me, trade for what? Well, trade for whatever I want. Somebody has a knife I want or something like that, I might trade them 2 coyote hides or 3 coyote hides for that knife that have been, processed and ready to go. That's just an example, but I do trade things a lot. I traded last year a brass kettle for a couple of possum hides. So that was a pretty good trade on my behalf. But it just depends on what you want to do. But I suggest, first of all and foremost, that you go out and get a proper education in trapping, what the legalities are in your area, what you need to do, what traps you can use, what traps you can't use, whether you can use snares or not, whether the snares have to have locking devices on them, what animals you're allowed to trap, what animals you're not allowed to trap, if there's any set numbers of animals you're allowed to trap per season, or zone areas in your state where you can only trap certain animals in certain zones. All of those things come into play, and you owe it to the public, you owe it to yourself, and you owe it to the trapping community to get that proper education beforehand. Like I said, we have a Hudson Bay trapping class starting next week. Still have a couple openings for that at www.thepathfinderschoollc.com. I'm Dave Canterbury at the Pathfinder School. I appreciate you joining me for this video. I thank you for everything you do for me, for my school, for my family, my friends, affiliates, and sponsors. I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.